It has not been a rosy relationship between the Buhari executive and the National Assembly. The lawmakers have taken a tough stance on some policies and proposals from the presidency. Some of the events have appeared a major standoff between the two major arms of government. For example, the Senate threw out the proposal to get a loan of about $30 billion US. The medium-term expenditure framework proposal too suffered a similar treatment. And some of the lawmakers have even accused some of President Buhari's cabinet members of incompetence in what they call a shoddy presentation of some of their proposals. 46 non-Korea ambassadorial nominees by the president were also rejected by the legislators. But guess what? We'll start up the conversation on our major story tonight with the event of the battle between the Senate and the SGF.
Yesterday, we all heard the president, the number one citizen of this country, humbly telling us that he's seeking cooperation with National Assembly. And how can his own secretary tell us we're talking rubbish? The two conversations are not in sync. Even if somebody has been accused of something, there are ways in which he can respond. But to say that this is rubbish or we're talking nonsense, I think it is personalizing the issues. And the issues here are very clear. As you say, we set up a committee. The committee did their work. Nothing was doctored or created. The reports are very clear. The resolution we took yesterday, as been suggested today, will be communicated to Mr. President with the supporting documents to show clearly where it is, especially in the government fighting corruption, that somebody in an executive position can award a contract to a company he's a shareholder of.
I'm now being joined from our Abuja studio by a legal practitioner and public affairs analyst, Aliyu Abdullah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Newton.
Okay, Mr. Abdullah, let's start off with what's your take on the entire situation, the kind of face-off between the legislature, the Senate to be precise, and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation?
Well, thank you. I would say it's an unfortunate situation that we have in our hands, being that you see, we have to really apply application of rule of law, fairness must come in all circumstances and situations. It doesn't have to be like the lowly or the vulnerable ones that are entitled, that they're the only ones entitled to fair hearing, to fairness. Even the mighty, even the president, the Senate president, everybody is entitled to fairness. And you see, we have distinct laws in this country. When someone is accused of actually being on the wrong side of the law, it's actually behoves on those people who assert, who accuse that, to give that person a chance to actually offer his own side of explanation. You don't go and call for a particular action without hearing his side, and so on and so forth. Now, on the issue of the allegation of the contracts to a company where the SGF was a shareholder, because he is not a shareholder, I mean, there was an evidence that has emanated that the SGF has relinquished his shareholding in that company as at 28th of August 2015. And that was 1 year back. I mean, a day after his appointment into this government, he relinquished his shares. He wrote to his bank to withdraw his signature and replaced by somebody else. You see, and we have that in documents as evidence. It's going to be seen all around. Then one will wonder, how did the Senate came about with the documents they have, which bear 2016 in their own document, while the original documents bear 2015, August 2015. So there will be a case of forgery. There would seem to be a case of forgery here. Where did the Senate get their own document? This issue has to be investigated thoroughly because, let's face it, the Senate, they are known to have issues of forgery within their midst. The Senate standing rules of this
Mr.
year
Abdullah
was actually forged. The case is still in court, even though the Senate president and his deputy was actually dropped. But other parties in the Senate are still having a case of forgery ongoing.
Mr. Abdullah, so, if I may come in here, you're making strong allegations against the Senate. Are you implying that what this allegation against the Secretary to the Government of the Federation is a contraption, as they say?
It could be. It has to be, because I have seen the original document, and it bears on the date of the letter where the SGF wrote, to his lawyers to inform the Corporate Affairs Commission to remove his name as a shareholder, relinquishing his shareholder, his position as chairman of that particular company. The date was 28th of August 2015, and I will recall you that the SGF was appointed on the 27th of August 2015. Just a day after his appointment, he relinquished the shares and everything to do with that company. So where did the Senate get its own document bearing 2016? And I wonder, you see, how could number one public servant in this country, that's the SGF, how could he, be so careless to be actually in government and also be maintaining or running a private entity? I mean, it doesn't really make much sense if you look at it, because he wouldn't dare do that, because he is supposed to be a golden example, a shining example to all public servants in this country. He can't do that. I mean, no one, not even a novice, can actually do that. And on the other hand, if you look at the Senate, this is not the first time we have seen cases of forgery emanating from this particular Senate.
Mr. Abdullah, again, I would have to come in here and advise that whatever you say, you must be able to substantiate whatever allegations you're making here, because this is not the view of Channels Television. Do you have evidence for all that you're saying?
I have the documents. I have the documents right here. I have the copies of the documents. In fact, I don't know if there is a possibility of how I can show you the document. It's right here on the screen, where he wrote actually to his lawyers to write the Corporate Affairs Commission to substitute his name, to relinquish his shares. So if they have another one bearing that he's still a member or a shareholder of that company at 2016, in 2016, where did that document come from? That's the question that Nigerians should be asking. And again, you see, like I said, the fundamental natural laws of this country is everyone that is charged with allegation of crime, he should be given chance. That's a fundamental, that's a basic natural law.
Did the Senate say he was guilty?
Audi alteram patent.
What did the Senate say he was guilty?
Yes.
If they said he should be prosecuted if he's found to be guilty.
If they call for his suspension.
Ideally.
Exactly. But in the court of public opinion,
yes,
they have already actually convicted him in the court of public opinion. They have called for his suspension or resignation, as the case may be. So that is, I mean, like putting the cart before the horse.
Mr. Abdullah,
why didn't they invite him to hear his own side of the story?
In a situation where you're part of a team, this administration is known to be fighting the war on corruption headlong. So if you're part of a team that is fighting a particular battle and you hear something said about you, what would be the best mode of reaction? The way that the SGF reacted, is that the best mode of reaction? For one who is said to be, who believes that he is innocent, should that be the best way to react?
Well, you see, the SGF's reaction, to my own best understanding, you know, he saw that attempt, he saw the action of the Senate as a calculated attempt to tarnish his image, his reputation. Not only him, actually. This, if you look at it, like you said, rightly from the very beginning, the relationship between the Senate and the executive, you see, SGF is not the target. The target here is his principal, the president. And
are you serious?
It's not even about the president. It is about the work the president is actually doing. Like you rightly pointed out, it is about the fight against corruption. By the time the Senate can poke holes among his cabinet, among his lieutenants, and create an aspersion or create doubts in the minds of ordinary Nigerians. So they want to slow down or actually cripple down the fight against corruption before it even reaches to their doorsteps.
All right, since we're talking about the fight against corruption, let's pause for a moment here and go back or step forward to the next situation with the Senate, where they rejected the nomination of Mr. Magu as the chairman of the EFCC. According to them, they did that. They refused to confirm him because of a report from the Department of State Services that indicted Mr. Magu. And you say their moves are targeted at the president. But let's look at some of the things they mentioned. According to that report, which the Senate quoted, they said that after the arrest of service chiefs by the EFCC, including Bade, Umar and all that, while under interrogation by the service, they had confessed that he didn't want Amosu to be probed. The reason why the EFCC arraigned Amosu after his friend's interrogation. The acting EFCC boss was also accused in the report of making false allegations against individuals for personal reasons. Now, that's what you have on the screen there, why the Senate rejected EFCC, Magu as EFCC chairman. The Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria wishes to inform the general public that based on security reports available to the Senate cannot proceed and confirm the nomination of Ibrahim Magu. Accordingly, the Senate hereby rejects the said nomination and has returned the said nomination to Mr. President for further action.